In missing persons cases, sightings are obviously one of the most important things for investigators trying to locate the individual. Sometimes these sightings can completely change a missing persons case, whether that's where the search team is looking or whether anybody is looking at all. Number 5. It's now almost exactly 30 years since Adam John Breaux disappeared into thin air after an AA meeting in Louisiana. AJ, as he was known, was 50 years old at the time of his disappearance. He was a recovering alcoholic, but had been sober for 8 years at this point, and was an active member of his Alcoholics Anonymous group, working as the local chapter's secretary. The day he vanished seemed like any other. It was a Wednesday evening in late August. AJ spent the day working at the clothing store where he had worked as a salesman for 30 years. In the evening, he went to the Easy Does It Club for the AA meeting. He left the meeting at about 8 p.m. Half an hour later, he stopped at a local convenience store to buy milk. This was the last confirmed sighting of AJ. AJ was reported missing the following day. He had previously been married, but had divorced his ex-wife 17 years earlier. Still, he had a good relationship with her and his now 3 adult daughters. They were all concerned when he didn't return home that evening. On August 30th, 2 days after the last confirmed sighting, AJ's car was found, abandoned opposite the convenience store. The car was locked, and inside, they found his wallet, a personal checkbook, the checkbook for the AA chapter, and a brown bag containing $165 in AA funds. The only things that seemed to be missing were the car keys, the milk that AJ had purchased, and AJ himself. Police also noticed that the vehicle was low on fuel, even though AJ had purchased $10 worth of fuel earlier that day. His known travels that day couldn't account for the lack of fuel. AJ was spotted a number of times at this point. The same day his car was found, an acquaintance claimed to have seen AJ at a different convenience store, using the payphone there. He was wearing an ill-fitting lumberjack-type t-shirt and appeared disheveled. This was very out of character for AJ. The acquaintance also said he had a red compact car parked nearby, with 3 men inside who all appeared to be watching AJ. Another acquaintance also claims to have seen AJ in the same car with a group of men about 8 miles out of town. Another person later came forward to say they'd seen a man being forced into a car around the time that AJ had disappeared, though they couldn't identify the victim as AJ. Even though there were no signs of foul play, AJ's family believe he was taken against his will, presumably as he was making his way to his vehicle after buying milk. If this is the case though, it seems odd that there was no sign of a struggle. Another possibility is that AJ relapsed. Even after so long, relapses can happen, and a 4th sighting seems to suggest that may have happened. About a month after AJ vanished, a woman named Christy Boudreau was visited by a man matching his description. She lived 30 miles away from where he was last seen. The man was disheveled and smelled of alcohol. He tried to sell her some frozen fish, but the strangest piece of the puzzle came 2 weeks after AJ disappeared. Police received a note saying AJ had gotten drunk and accidentally taken his own life. His body had been dumped in a lake, but when police searched the lake, there was no sign of AJ. Number 4. Bridget Pindell has not contacted her family since late 1996. Bridget's life had been on a downward spiral for years at this point, but she always made sure to send a message to her family every month or so. But by the time her family started looking for her, she had already disappeared into San Francisco's homeless population, and where she is now remains a mystery. Bridget had been a bright, good-looking young woman. She briefly studied at a modeling school before tuition became too expensive. She went to a community college and became a registered nurse, got married, and had a daughter. But for some reason, things changed for Bridget. She began using illegal substances and became addicted to hardcore narcotics. She divorced from her husband and traveled to San Francisco where she worked on the streets. Sometimes she would take her daughter with her, but her family eventually took custody of the daughter, and Bridget was alone. At one point, she began following the band The Grateful Dead and was sharing a hotel room with another follower of the band. They paid weekly for the hotel room, but sometime in 1998 or 1999, they went their separate ways. For years, Bridget's sister had searched for her, handing out flyers to those in San Francisco's homeless population. Many believe she has already passed away, but some claim to have seen her relatively recently. After the San Francisco Chronicle published an article about homelessness in the mid-2000s, Bridget's sister was given new hope. The article featured an image of a homeless woman who'd been given the nickname the Crier. She wandered the streets of San Francisco weeping, but nobody knows why. Many believe she bears a striking resemblance to Bridget. If this is the case, authorities have never been able to track her down. Bridget's sister sadly passed away at the age of 29, never getting the answers she searched for regarding her sister. There is a much darker possibility though. Around the same time Bridget disappeared into thin air, a criminal named Jack Boken was attacking prostitutes. He was arrested in 1997, and Bridget's family asked if he had anything to do with her disappearance. Boken denied ever knowing her, but police have warned he may know more than he's letting on. Number 3. In April of 1991, Gordon Collins, his girlfriend, and 2 friends vanished at sea. They'd been vacationing in Baja California and had taken a small boat out to fish when a storm came in. The following day, the bodies of Gordon's girlfriend and one of his friends were recovered, along with the overturned boat, but Gordon and the second friend were missing. Given the circumstances, it was assumed they both perished at sea, and both were declared legally deceased. But not long after the incident, some strange reports came in. 2 fishermen reported that they'd seen a man drag himself out of the sea not far from where Gordon's boat was found. He looked badly hurt, but managed to limp ashore and was last seen trying to board a bus. When shown a picture, they confirmed that the man was Gordon. Another man named Jose Peralta reported seeing Gordon on a nearby beach later the same day. The disheveled man said he was waiting for some friends he'd gone fishing with, and asked if he could have Jose's blanket, as he was going to sleep on the beach. Gordon's parents continued to search La Paz and Cabo San Lucas for any trace of their son, now convinced he'd somehow survived the boating incident, but was suffering from amnesia. At some point, they met a worker at a taco stall who said he had seen Gordon an hour earlier and pointed them in the direction he had gone. A few miles later, another person said they had seen him a half hour ago. They followed the road to a small village where everyone said they'd seen Gordon 5 minutes earlier. When asked where he had gone, they all allegedly, in the words of his family, clammed up. There were more than 50 sightings of Gordon from a nearby area over the next couple of years. It's impossible to know how many of these people genuinely thought they saw the missing man though. But there was one somewhat credible sighting. An American man who'd been living from handouts was arrested for stealing food. The translator, who was an American living in the area, told investigators in Gordon's case that the man who'd been arrested was Gordon. When the arrested man was asked, he gave his name as Gordy. The translator confirmed the person in the missing persons flyers was the same man who had been arrested. But Gordy had been released by the time Gordon's family arrived and once again disappeared. It seems likely Gordy sadly did pass away in the boating accident, and a string of false leads kept his parents' hopes alive. But the US consulate no longer believes Gordon to have passed away, and the search continues. Number 2. Sometimes mistaken identities can lead investigators on wild goose chases, as was sadly the case with Renee Lamanna, who remains missing to this day. Renee was a well-educated, bright young woman who spoke multiple languages fluently and had traveled with the Peace Corps. She was passionate about her work and was studying nuclear medicine when her life seemed to fall apart overnight. Renee had been in a long-term relationship with an Afghan taxi driver, and they had been dating for more than a decade. However, in January of 1994, the two had an argument, and Renee left their home in New York. She was last seen wandering the streets in sub-zero temperatures, wearing a silk Afghan wedding outfit without any shoes. She was taken to a hospital and given a psychiatric evaluation. Her sister, who lived nearby, collected Renee and took her home. About an hour later, though, Renee ran outside again for no apparent reason, wearing just pajamas, a bathrobe, and slippers. Police would find the bathrobe and a slipper, but Renee had apparently disappeared into the air. At some point, Renee was diagnosed with a dissociative disorder, meaning she likely doesn't know who she is. Sniffer dogs traced Renee's scent to 2 nearby houses, but there was no sign of her there. It did seem like she'd stayed in New York, however. There were a number of sightings of Renee around Manhattan. The last confirmed sighting came on a subway platform, where she was apparently looking at one of her own missing persons flyers. She didn't seem to recognize herself, though. Around the same time, Renee's case was featured on the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. What followed was a flurry of sightings from Virginia to Tennessee. It's unknown how many of these sightings were taken seriously, but Renee's family did believe she was hitchhiking through the US and searching for her family. In 2015, Renee's sister got a call from a woman in Virginia who claimed to have spent 4 days with Renee. The woman, Ruth, had seen Renee sitting in a park talking to 2 police officers. She looked disheveled, and Ruth took her in. The woman, believed to be Renee, explained that she was hitchhiking down the East Coast and couldn't understand why her family couldn't find her. After 4 days, Renee disappeared again. Ruth passed the information on to police, along with photographs she had taken. The images were an almost perfect match to the age-progressed pictures of Renee, and police believed they had a match. Unfortunately, in 2016, police finally caught up with the woman. Fingerprints confirmed this was not Renee. The false sightings had led police all the way to Florida. It's now believed Renee is still in New York, if she is still alive. Her sister hasn't given up hope on finding her one day, though. Number 1. When 24-year-old Shonda Stansbury disappeared in December of 2006, police assumed she had gone of her own accord. Shonda was known to use illegal substances and had the same day been kicked out of the trailer where she was staying with friends. Her mother filed a missing persons report 5 days after she was last seen. That same day, just before midnight, police received a disturbing phone call that made them reassess the case. Shonda was last seen at about 6:30 a.m. on December 9th. She'd gone to a Waffle House in Weldon, North Carolina, where her sister Jackie worked, though her sister wasn't at work at the time. Shonda had made a habit of calling her family members every day to check in with them and let them know she was okay. She knew they were worried about her. She last called Jackie the day before while her sister was at work. Jackie said Shonda told her she'd call when she got off the shift, but that call never came. She also never called her mother that evening, as was her usual routine. Instead, she showed up at Jackie's place of work while Jackie wasn't there, bruises covering her arms and legs, and a lump on her temple. A regular customer gave Shonda a lift back to the trailer where she was staying, dropping her off before 7 a.m. This was the last time anybody is known to have seen her. For unknown reasons, the friends Shonda had been staying with asked her to leave that same day. It's not clear if this was after she returned from the restaurant, or if they had already asked her to leave when she arrived at the Waffle House that morning. The friends may have been the last people to have seen Shonda, but there's no reports about what kind of state she was in when she left. After days with no calls from her daughter, Shonda's mother contacted police at 10:15 a.m. on December 14th. As Shonda was an adult and considered not to be at risk, there was little movement in the case straight away, and no immediate TV appeals. So when at 11:30 p.m. that night, police received a call from a woman saying she'd seen Shonda in distress running into the woods behind a store, it was unlikely the caller knew she was missing. The call came in to say someone the caller recognized as Shonda was being chased into the woods before a convenience store on Highway 158. Shonda wasn't wearing any clothes and had a wound on her face and was being chased by two African American men. The caller hung up before giving any personal details, but police eventually managed to track the woman down. The woman, who remains anonymous, claims she knew Shonda. She saw Shonda running and calling for help, but the woman was too scared to intervene at the time. She also didn't have a cell phone with her, so drove home to contact police. Strangely, considering how late it was, she was able to give a relatively accurate description of the men, including the fact that one was of a stocky build and wearing a baseball cap, while the other was a medium build with dreadlocks and Timberland boots. Police searched the woods where Shonda had allegedly been running into, but there was no sign of her or any disturbed earth. Police now consider Shonda to be at risk. It's still not clear if she left of her own accord and ran into foul play afterwards, or if she was taken against her will. Many have questioned the authenticity of the caller, but it's impossible to know exactly what happened that day until Shonda is found. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.